What's up, guys? I'm Belamy, and this is Prime Survival Episode 3. We're back in our village, and as you can see, I built a small little farm just here in the corner of the village. This is where I had that little shack. I kind of leveled it out. It didn't take too long, and I put some composters in here. You can see some of the villagers, the ones that are nearby. I've already taken up their role as a farmer here. I planted a couple of the some beetroots and some what's this stuff called, wheat, over here for those guys to start working on. And other than that, all we did in yesterday's episode was finish our wall off, light it all up, and we've lit up the majority of the village. Now when it comes to be nighttime here, we'll probably see a few little dark spots that we'll have to patch up, but as long as we don't see any monsters spawning, we should be good. Now if we happen to see anything spawning when nighttime rolls around, I'll have to figure out where they spawned and patch up a few dark spots. But for the most part, our village should be nice and safe from zombies and things like that, and hopefully raiders if anything like that happens. So now we have... The next thing we kind of need to do is we need to have some kind of way of being able to move in and out of the village, i.e. through the wall, over the wall, under the wall, whatever it is we want to do. But the trouble is we want to kind of have a pathway over the wall, under the wall, through the wall, whatever it is we want to do, that the villagers themselves aren't going to access, because we don't want them to escape. Not that they're stuck here, not that this is a prison, but we don't want them to get out, because when we start putting in some work in the village here, trading with our villagers and setting up a kind of store with all of our enchanters and armorers and all that kind of stuff, we don't want them to go stray and die to zombies or anything like that after we start putting work into it. So we need a pathway for us that they can't access. Now, I would like to do something that is in the theme of the wall, because that is how we're going to be theming the village when we get around to changing the aesthetic of all the buildings and that such. So what I'm thinking is doing some kind of bridge, arch bridge that goes up and over the wall here at the I think, what side is this? This is the west side of the village. So I'm thinking of doing a kind of archway bridge, some nice looking one up over the wall. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to start that just yet, but I'm looking for a bit of inspiration. We can obviously do that on each wall. If we do a simple bridge, that's easy for us to build on every side, just so it's easy for us to get in and out of the village from whatever direction we're coming from. Hopefully in the future we'll just have some elytra, so we'll just be able to fly up and over the wall anytime we want. But for the time being, we need a bridge to go up and over the wall. Now, if I do some kind of simple arch bridge, like over the middle here, for example, we might have to just put fencing around it with some gates so that we can access it without the... and set up kind of a mechanism that doesn't allow the villagers to access it as easily. Because, like I said, we don't want them straying out of the village. But... let's see. I think, obviously, we're going to have to go with the acacia-looking wood theme, because it's going to match our fence wall, and I think that'll look quite nice. So, I think to start, we're going to have to go get ourselves some more acacia logs. So, we're going to head over into the savannah area, cut down a few more acacia trees, get a nice little supply of wood for that, and then we might start building some kind of bridge here. Now, we're over in the savannah area, and some of the trees have grown back. I already cut down 2 just here. We've been trying to replant as many as we can. You can see there's a few saplings in the area from the last time we came over here. But the savannah area is actually quite small. It kind of only covers this small area here, a little bit over the other side of that huge pillar there, and then a small corner over there. It's actually quite a small biome for a savannah. So... what we've been trying to do is cut down all of the trees, because we have used quite a lot for our wall area, and we've been replanting it as we go, and thankfully it's been pretty sustainable. The trees have been regrowing back quite fast, so it's been no real issue. We've kept up our supply of savannah acacia trees so far, but we shouldn't need too many for this bridge wall that we're going to do over the over the village wall. So, I have almost a stack now. I think if I cut down just, these 3 or 4 more trees, We should have more than enough because we're not going to use just pure logs this time like we did with the wall. We're actually going to use a combination of planks and other pieces. So it shouldn't take too many stacks of logs, and our axe is actually running close to breaking, so we don't have much durability left on that bad boy. So I think I'll maybe do one more tree and then leave a tiny little bit of our axe for correcting any mistakes we make while actually building our wall or our bridge. Alright, so we cut down about 6 to 7 trees and I replanted about 20 saplings. So we have broke even there pretty easily. It's not going to be an issue. We should not run out of acacia wood anytime soon. But our axe is about to run out and we're going to head back over to the village over here. And the main reason why we want to work on this this bridge is because we don't want to have to be doing this every time we want to go in and out of the village. So at the moment, I'm kind of just... forgive me, I just fell off there. I've just been building up, jumping onto the wall, fixing my little nasty way of jumping over the wall here. And that's been my way of getting up and over the wall. Now, I've already marked out the center of the wall here. We have 7 squares, we'll call them. This direction, 7 squares. That direction, this is the middle one right here. And this is the center of our wall. So if we're going to build a bridge, we're going to start here. And now I'm thinking of doing a kind of flat bridge with acacia slabs and then lining it with acacia logs, potentially putting some kind of fencing along the side of it. But I'll have to figure out after the fact how exactly I'm going to block it off from the villagers so they can't use it as a path to get in and out of the village. But we're going to start here, right smack bang in the middle, and I think I'm actually going to make the bridge go up and over the wall without actually making any contact with it. So I could make it 1 high. I could place the slab on here, and that will be the bridge going up and over, and it'll have this small gap here. Or I could do 2 high. And have the slab on top of there and have it go very high over. I'm not sure if I want to do too high. It seems a bit too high over the wall here. But I think, honestly, I might go with 1 slab high. So I think we'll go with this height here. I think that'll work quite nicely. So we're going to go ahead and break this one. And our axe is gone. That is very unfortunate. I'm just going to have to deal with a cobblestone one for the time being while we're working on this. Going to go ahead and throw this bed down and get the night over with so we can get into building this without worrying about creepers or anything along those lines messing with this, because that is the last thing we want. Now, I don't need an axe just yet, and I think we're going to start... I think the goal with this bridge is to make it kind of thin as it passes over the wall, but make it wider as it gets closer to the ground, if that makes sense. So it's going to take a little bit of messing around here to kind of get this shape right, but we'll see just how we go. So we're going to start by making this. I think I can go 1 more that wide. Can we? Do we want it to go wider here like this? Slightly, and then spread it out like this, and then have like a section like that, and just make it get really wide as it gets to the ground. Or I think I might leave it a bit thinner for a bit longer. So I'm just going to run over to my crafting bench over here and grab a cobblestone axe real quick, just because it's going to be a pain for us to cut down all of those slabs without any actual axe in our inventory. Alright, so now we're going to place the slabs on this level here, and now I can extend it off of this, but it may actually look quite strange, potentially. Let's see how this looks. Now, this may take a little bit of fiddling around for this to look right, but I think that's what we're going to go off here, and then we're going to go, this is going to be a distance of 3 blocks here, and then off this one, we're going to go down once more. So we're going to go down, and we run out of slabs. Go down here, and then we're going to spread out 1 more time. Actually, I think what we might do is, instead of spreading it out here just now, I might do 1 more... oh, forgive me, place that in the wrong spot. 1 more kind of 5 by 3 here. just to get us a little bit closer to the ground without the bridge getting too wide. And then now we might do this one slightly lower. And then from here, we'll go out one more again. And then we should be able to spread this out. So we want this to be a distance of 3. Slabs can be a little tricky to work with sometimes, especially if you haven't played the game in some time. Alright, so that's our 3x3 there. Now, this doesn't look terrible so far. I may have to mix in some different textures, some different woods to make it look a little bit less bland. But right now, I'm actually going to cut out this level of sand. Okay, so looking at this, it looks a little bit out of proportion because of the 2 steps. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove this layer. And leave it a bit thinner at the top here. And just make it so it tapers down to the wide part at the base. So at the base here, we're going to go all the way and go widen this once more. And there we go. So that, I think that looks a little bit better. It's a bit wider at the base, and it tapers into the center, which I think looks a little bit better than what it did just previously. So we're going to have to kind of drop this down one more layer here. So I'm going to remove these few blocks of terracotta and sandstone here. Alright, so we have removed the house and our bridge is looking a little bit more symmetrical. As it stands right now, I'm not too happy with the way it looks. I may have to tweak it slightly here. But we can actually remove the base of these here, so we don't actually need the actual step down. It will actually look a lot nicer if we remove all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and see if it doesn't look a little bit better. Alright, so we've trimmed away a little bit of the fat of the bridge. It does look a bit nicer. Obviously we're going to put edges and sides on it over here. It is nighttime right now. Normally I would sleep, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to work on this bridge through the night and just keep an eye on my surroundings and see if any monsters kind of spawn in our village, just to kind of test to see if there's any dark spots that need to be taken care of. They could potentially spawn on our bridge here, but we'll notice if they do, and there's going to be lights, obviously, after the fact. Now, obviously, there's some boys out here. So we're going to just be working on this side of the bridge until the sun comes up and gets rid of some of those monsters. So, as of right now, I'm not sure I like the idea of this kind of tapering off at the end here. It doesn't really look that great, it feels like, but we'll see how we're going to work with this here, because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some acacia logs and I'm actually going to line the side of this here. So I'll place a block of sand here to start with. The trouble is, if we line the sides of the bridge with logs, I think it would look quite nice. However, we run into a bit of an issue, whereas if I place a log here, it will look fine and it borders the bridge quite nicely, but it doesn't act as a railing, whereas if I place one on the side of here, per se, didn't get it the right direction, but it'll serve the purpose of showing what I'm trying to show here, is it sits here and it is up by 1. You know, there's no way to kind of replicate this, whereas if I put one here, it's not going to be the same height, but it may look a little bit off, but I think I can make it work. We'll see. I'll go ahead and kind of lay one side here, and we'll have a look after the fact to see what we think. Alright, so upon working on the bridge a little bit further, I found that it was a bit too big and a bit too bulky. It wasn't looking that great, and it was kind of hard to kind of frame the bridge on the outside without having any kind of slabs or anything that kind of replicated the similar colors as the acacia log itself. So I ended up inverting the colors, and I've made it into this stone slab bridge with the acacia lining on the outsides. You can see this is half of it so far. It is a bit of an arched over bridge. I would like to kind of put some kind of fencing along the side here instead of the acacia bricks themselves, but it's a bit difficult to do that when you're working with slab levels, because you cannot obviously place fencing on the half-size blocks. So it's just switched over to daytime now, and if there's no okay, there is a creeper out there. That's, I can deal with that. I can go kill that guy, and then I can work on the other side of the of the bridge out here. I potentially may run out of stone slabs in doing so. But we'll see here. I'm going to get rid of this creeper just so he doesn't sneak up on me. Alright, creeper down. I am going to replicate the other side of this wall just here now. Alright, so I ran out of stone slabs, so I'm working on cooking a little bit of stone over there just now to finish the other side of the bridge here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this dirt for starters, and then we're going to actually consider, since I have a whole bunch of acacia slabs left over because I kind of over-anticipated how much acacia slabs I was actually going to need for this, I'm considering covering the underside of this bridge with a single slab on each piece. But the trouble is I can't actually do that here, so it's going to end up looking a bit clunky. I would ideally like to cover each underside of the actual stone slabs here themselves with an acacia, just so it kind of masks the underside of the bridge a little bit. But for the time being, I think it's going to be just fine like that. I would like to finish this over here. We just have to continue. How many 2x2s, 2x6s did we do? Or 2x3s? 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 singles, and that should take us to about the ground level. It is a little bit lower out on the outside of the fence, or the outside of the wall over there, so I may have to go slightly lower, and the bridge isn't going to be exactly symmetrical on both sides, but that's no big deal. 10 should be enough to get us the rest of the bridge, I hope. 27, yeah, that should be more than enough, if I had to guess. And now, the trouble is we have a bridge that will be functioning now. It's not the fanciest looking bridge in the world. It could be a little bit better. I would like to kind of make it look a little bit nicer when we get a few more materials to work with. But as of right now, since we're early on in our survival run, we don't have that many available building materials to us to actually, get a fancy looking bridge going. So if I had access to some slightly different types of wood as well, such as, I can't remember exactly what type of wood it is, but it's the dark red Moroni type wood, we could probably make something work with that as well. However, since we don't have access to that just yet, we're just going to have to make do with the stone and the acacia lining, and hopefully after a little bit of work we can kind of get our bridge looking a little bit nicer. That is a very unfortunate placement. But for the time being, the bridge is going to be functioning, and although it's not perfect in my eyes, I think there's a lot we can do with it, like putting fences along the side of it, or shaping it slightly differently. I think this is going to be more than good enough for the time being for a functioning bridge. And so we're just going to go ahead and line this one with our acacia planks. And I'm actually going to take this down to ground level because it'll actually look a lot nicer if I do it down into the ground itself. Take a couple more acacia planks, place out there, and there we have a wonderful looking bridge that can lead us up and over into our village. I may actually place, will this look better if I do this? I think that looks a little bit nicer. Will it look nicer if I do it the whole way along? Just slightly higher on, yeah, I think that looks better. It looks less blocky. I think I mean, this is Minecraft. It's a bit difficult to get away from the blockiness of it. But I think that does look a bit nicer. However, I may have to do that all the way along and see what that looks like. If I just remove, my axe ran out, so this is going to be painful to do. It's hard to tell which side I prefer. I think I have to put one here. Honestly, I think I prefer the left-hand side, especially up the top end here. But what I might do is when it gets to the single planks here, I'll what's the right terminology here? I'll demote it to the single plank sides because it looks a little bit too clunky down the side here. Alright, so yeah, I think this looks a lot nicer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the sides here all the same length. And yeah, I think that looks quite nice. So on the ones where it's like 3x3 or 3x2, I can overhang the acacia by one. I think it makes it look a little bit nicer. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on these ones as well. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I think I'm pretty happy with that, honestly, how that's turned out. Like I said, it's not the prettiest bridge in the world, but nevertheless, I think it's quite nice, and I think it serves its purpose as a bridge to go up and over into our village. So let's go down here and we'll just jump up onto the wall and take a look at it from a bit of a side view. I think I might actually drop that side down a bit better, just so it looks more like a complete bridge, because as it stands right now, it does look a little bit clunky, simply because they don't go quite to the same depth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these extra few slabs here, and we're going to throw these down here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this area here. I will level this out a little bit soon, but we'll cut down this extra area right here. Alright, so it's not perfect, but this is what we want. So I'm going to remove this piece here and just even that side out there and get this piece out here. And our shovel actually ran out, so yeah, I'm not going to dig the rest of this out just now. But the goal is we have an even bridge on both sides. I think it looks respectable. It's not the greatest looking bridge in the world, but we can go ahead and throw some torches on it and make it look a little bit better. And I think I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out for the time being. Like I said, it could be a little bit better if we had a few more tools at our disposal. But like I said, I'm pretty stoked with how this turned out. It's definitely way better off than what it was with the original bridge itself. I think that one was a little bit too blocky and wide and obnoxious, and I'm a bit happier with how this has turned out now. So threw some torches on just because we don't want any monsters spawning on the non-slab portions of the bridge. Now the final obstacle is to just ensure that villagers aren't going to walk in and out of here. Now as it stands right now, while I was building the bridge itself, I had no issues with villagers actually even walking on the bridge, let alone crossing it. So what I might do is just see that if for some reason the bridge is not somewhere where the monsters and the villagers want a path, if I don't have to address the issue of them potentially walking out of the village, I'm not going to, because it will look nicer if it's just a straight up bridge and not, fences and walls and things all over it. But we're about to find out just here if any of these zombies actually are smart enough to path up the slabs, or if they're just going to, yeah. Alright, so it appears as though the zombies are too stupid to even path up the bridge. The other monsters, the same goes. Obviously spiders are no issue to us because they can climb the fence anyway and they're not going to mess with the villagers. I just hope that this holds up if there's any kind of raid. If there's a raid, I might just have to immediately run to this bridge and try and block it off as best I can so it can't be used as a way for the mobs to actually get into the village itself. But I think our village, as of right now, is pretty protected. I'm not too worried about anything coming over this bridge. It seems like the pathing of the monsters, I know they're locked onto me right now, but they don't seem to realize that there's a path that they can reach me. They just kind of stand below me. But I'm pretty happy with this right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab... I'm out of iron completely, so I'm kind of slumming it in terms of tools right now. But what I am going to do is I'm going to get just a stone shovel and just fix up this little area so it doesn't look quite as nasty as it does right now. But once I'm done that, I'm going to put a pause on the village maintenance for the time being. And we're going to go and do some productive stuff for ourselves. But that will most likely be saved until the next episode. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching. I hope you don't mind my bridge too much. I know it is a bit basic as far as bridges can go in Minecraft. But for the time being, like I said, this is just a basic bridge to get me in and out of the village without, having to build and jump the wall every single time. So far, we got ourselves a nice little village. We've protected it. We've got a wall around it. We've got a nice little bridge. Not the fanciest bridge in the world. I would like to kind of update it a little bit later on in the future, make it look more of like a Japanese style, maybe like Mongolian looking bridge to kind of go with the theme of the wall here. And once we've done that, I think I'll be a bit happier with the state of the village. But like I said earlier in today's episode and previous ones, ideally I'm going to update the entire village and kind of change the housing and, tweak it a bit to make it kind of match in theme with the wall itself and this kind of thematic that I'm going with here with the acacia wood and the greys and reds. So I'm pretty happy with it so far, but what we're going to do instead of going out of our way to build too many extravagant things, we're going to have to start setting ourselves up to supply ourselves with things like iron and different materials. So I think the next thing we're going to be working on is getting ourselves some better tools. So that could potentially mean upgrading villages or getting ourselves a nice supply of iron, which would mean building an iron farm. So look forward to that in the next few episodes. That is something that I'm going to need to be working on. And I'll see you guys in the next episode of the Prime Survival series. I've been Belamy, and I thank you guys for watching. Cheers.